School year is coming to an end, and it's been a tough time for me as a chemistry teacher. Although I can't deny that I enjoy getting back into chemistry. It's something that I study. It's part of, I spent years in college studying chemistry to be able to graduate with my degree in chemical engineering. And then as I pursue environmental engineering, I also continue taking courses where having a good basis and strong foundation of chemistry was important. And but teaching has been tough. Not going to lie, I don't know who needs to hear this, and I know that I have been seeing memes and teachers posting things about how students react, and I have to say it, being a teacher in 2025 is not easy. It really isn't, honestly. There's a lot of behavior that doesn't make sense to me. Behavior that before, when I was younger, I have never seen before in students. On top of that, the one thing that I wish my student will know is that when you are learning, you cannot be learning and looking at a phone. And there's a lot of, I mean, I look at my phone, I admit it, I got my cell phone, I work, but when you're trying to learn, you cannot be distracted by anything. There are two ways that you learn, And I'm not saying that you cannot learn from watching videos, but you can watch videos that are, I watch a lot of like videos when I was growing up. I used to watch this show called Big Man's War. I really enjoyed it, and the other science show that I was interested in learning. You can watch stuff on video and learn, you know it's media, it's TV. Sometimes you may not get the chance to see things in person. The technology can help on that, but to really learn things, you have to read. Number one, you have to read. You need to read. There are books for that reason, whether it's a physical book, a physical textbook, or things that a teacher posts online. You have to read. Reading is important. Learning doesn't happen just because. You need to read. You need to familiarize yourself with the lingo that they use. It's like when you practice sports. In a sport, you have their own lingo. Even I'm not an expert in sports, and I have to familiarize myself with the lingo of particular sports when I go to see them. Like, take for example, going to see games of um, what kind of game? Sorry, baseball, or for example, games of lacrosse. Lacrosse is a very different sport. Baseball, I'm a little bit familiar because I used to go and see baseball games in Puerto Rico. But there's a lingo in there. If you don't know what a foul ball is, you are going to be in the game and it's like, what just happened in there? The same thing with chemistry. There's a lingo that we study. And the same with chemistry. It's like chemistry is an old science, so everything has already been done. So there's no need for you to rediscover it. It's already been done for you, but you have to understand the meaning of it, understand what it means, understand the significance of that, and how to apply it afterwards. Example, an atom. We know what an atom is. And then we divide it further because we say an atom is composed of electrons, protons, and neutrons. So now there are three particles that are part of the atom. And then we have to subdivide it further because then the protons and neutrons, they are inside the nucleus, and then the electrons surround the nucleus. And we have to be specific on that because we have to understand how they all relate. And it's important to understand as we move into the more difficult material, for example, in chemical reactions, or the formation of ionic compounds, or the formation of molecular compounds. Molecular compounds, the atoms, they share the electrons. In ionic compounds, an atom donates or accepts an electron. So we have to become familiar with the lingo. And chemistry is such a broad science. Like, I think that was also a difficult part that I had this school year. It's like there's a lot, and New York State requires a lot for the students to learn in chemistry. It's super difficult to compress everything into 15-minute lesson, because that's what the school wanted me to do. 15 minutes mini lessons. It's difficult, especially with the student behavior. I try to teach the material, but there's so many distractions, and then the student don't want to really learn and all that kind of stuff. So it was very difficult. Um, The second thing is not only about reading, you also have to listen sometimes. And then because you also have mathematical problems in here, the only way that you get good at maths is by doing problems, is by practice. It's like any practicing a sport. You want to get good at basketball, you want to get good at martial arts, you have to practice. Same thing with chemistry. You want to get good at problem solving in chemistry, not only you have to read and understand the material, not only you may have to listen to what the teacher is explaining, but that will help you out in case you missed something or misunderstood something when you were reading, but also you will have to practice problems too. You need to practice. For example, there are different calculations that we do in chemistry, converting moles to mass, calculating the molar mass of a compound, whether it's an ionic compound or a molecular compound. It, it's done the same way, and I know I posted a video about that. But you have to practice. You have to get in the habit of practicing problems, so that way you are ready for whatever comes in a future test. Same with chemical reactor. Conversions are a big one. I think not many students understand conversions. I think the issue with math when it comes to chemistry and math when it comes to algebra and algebra 1 and algebra 2, the cell phones, because everything can be done with Google Lens. Like all you have to do is take your phone and find a problem, and you can use Google Lens, and Google can give you the answer on how to solve a particular problem. But because students are not practicing using their brains, instead of they are so used to letting AI do the things for them that they are not using their brains to solve problems. So they haven't developed that capacity to be able to use critical thinking to solve a problem and to understand how to solve verbal problems in math. So I've seen the decline of what the excessive use of AI can do to students. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it because it doesn't do anything good to sugarcoat it. It is affect AI, Google, cell phones are affecting students, are affecting kids. We are having it's different. I during my generation and when I went to college, I had calculator. I have a graphic calculator. I had a very expensive calculator that helped me go over some courses because there were some maths that you really needed to have that calculator. I still learned the procedure to solve complex math and complex problems. But these students, they don't even want to try. They just want to get the answer quickly. They write the answer in the paper, and then they argue with me as a teacher. They argue with me as how they got the answer. And I see an answer and I tell them, "Did you got it on Google?" And they are like, "Oh, no, 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 we didn't got it on Google. I did it in my brain." And as a science person, knowing that I have to use a calculator, I'm like, really, really? Okay, explain how you did to calculate that. So, well, why are you asking me that? Is there? Give me the points. Give me the points. That's what this is turning, and I totally, completely hate that attitude in students. Hate the that type of attitude. Hate the fact that I feel powerless to do anything because students are like, no, it's not acceptable to do that. Learning is not happening in there, and I know it. They're just going on Google. Anybody can use Google. It's too easy. And look, I get it. AI in a way, it's good that we have it. It's useful. I see the benefit of having AI, and I see the benefit. I see how it can help, but at the same time, knowing that how the students are using it, I don't want to see students using the phones to do problems when it comes to math and science. It's affecting their critical thinking, and I'm concerned about how the future of it's going to look like, honestly. And as much as I don't want to say it, part of me thinks that the future is going to look a little bit like the movie Idiocracy. So yeah, if you don't know what the movie Idiocracy is, I suggest you Google it, and if you get a chance, watch it. You will know what I'm talking about. Because it's if if society doesn't do something about this phone addiction that students are having, it's not going to end up good. And again, I get it. I can understand how Google and AI can help, but when you are so reliant, when our society becomes so reliant on using AI, on using Google to solve everything, to do everything, there's a problem in there. And that's just my opinion as a chemistry teacher. I saw it with my students in algebra. I'm seeing it right now with the students that I have in chemistry. I it's it's tough. It's tough. It's been tough, and I know that they will argue with me when I question whether they know how to do something. They are like, well, they will try to find a way to answer and reply and make me feel guilty for even questioning their knowledge, And if they know the answer, if they can show it, and there are some kids that are trying hard and they're showing that they are learning, they're doing what they can to show that they're learning. But there are others that are just trying to just like swing by just saying like, well, they just argue with you to because they feel like they're threatened because you figure out how to do it. So now they have to argue and counter argue with you as to how dare I question the way that they're doing things. Um, this is what teaching is turning, and I don't like it. I don't like it, and I come from background science. I really had to learn, have my knowledge to be able to graduate. I passed also my professional engineer license. I passed it. I also passed my fundamentals of engineering examination, and those are tests that are really difficult to pass. So I really had to know the material. I couldn't just go to the test and hope for the best. I really had to know the material. Not many people pass that test, and it's just sad how things are changing. And I don't know what to do. I'm new teaching. I don't think I have all the resources that I need to, but I don't know how to help the students stop being so reliant on using cell phones or using AI. Anyway, that's how I got. I just wish that if I'm staying teaching, I hope that things improve, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyway, take care, everybody, and have a great day. Bye.